Can do. All right, sounds like we're recording. This is the SIG Network meeting for April 14th, 2022. Why don't we start off with some issue triage? If anyone's got that lined up.
I have it queued up unless anybody wants to take it. All right.
It's all you, Tim.
All right, let's find the right window. Everybody see that?
Yep.
All right. I'm having some video glitch on the way in, but that's fine, as long as you can see me. Cool, so I appreciate everybody who ran through this afternoon or this morning and pinged a bunch of these issues. I have, six left that we can talk about. So let's start most recent. Pods failed with status IP address reused on new pods. So the TLDR, it sounds like they have somehow got two pods running that have the same IP address. And they think there's some correlation to the fact that one or more of the containers in the pod are in some non-normal state. But I asked for some clarity on that. Cal is also in there. Because if that's true, that's disastrously bad, and we will need to get to the heart of that very, very quickly. So, Cal, do you want me to assign it to you, or do you want me to assign it to myself?
Yeah, sure. But I don't see it the way you see it. But yeah, sure. Like, we obviously need clarity. Like, to my understanding is that the old pod is dead, and the IP moved to the new one, and that will happen if you're like at that very end of the CIDR space, like you still have 2 or 3 remaining. It will quickly get reused. So anyway, let's ask. Yes, assign me and I'll take care of it. Thank you.
What is the expected behavior for failed pods? Like, does that mean that just one container has failed, or does that mean all containers are gone?
Are you talking about
if any
IP
of the
assignment?
Containers are failed, then the pod is failed.
Are you talking about IP assignment, or are you
no? Well,
status?
Just in general. So what you're...
The IP will not be removed until the object is deleted.
Okay.
Right.
Is that
so it doesn't matter the state of the pod as long as there is an object, the IP is assigned.
Yeah, but the IPAM plugin shouldn't be assigning the same IP until it's been told to tear that down.
It depends on the CNI.
Did they say there's CNI?
No, they didn't. It's on GKE, but they didn't say which of the myriad options they have used. But Cal, this is the sentence that made me question my sanity. They say that the pods with the above statuses are still running and serving. So
also, this is not a supported GKE. It's 122, right? So this is like a bleeding edge GKE. Maybe are you using etcd?
No, it's probably on the rapid channel.
Okay. Is that supported?
So if some containers can still be running, the network namespace is still up. So why would it not still be serving?
Yes. If the container, so it's unclear whether they say these are container statuses or pod statuses, because like terminated is a pod phase, which should be terminal and should not be, come back fromable. But if the pod is still up and running and serving requests, anyway, we'll get some clarity on it. It's not clear what's going on here. I think it's more likely that we have like a stale endpoint somewhere.
I have seen this before because I've seen too many things broken in my life. etcd restore can do that if the CNI depend on etcd. If you're doing etcd restore, if one of the etcd, like etcd total failure, and you're restoring, and there is just a small drift enough for the CNI to think, oh, I have this free.
And the fact that it's 122 makes me wonder whether it's an etcd thing, right? Because I don't know what version GKE uses for etcd.
I have seen that twice before. Once because the CNI was running as a pod and it didn't have like a state kept on the node. So every time the pod restart, the CNI thinks, oh, all the IPs are free. So it started allocating that, started assigning them. And the other time I've seen this recently was the etcd just decided that, okay, I restore, then there is a delta between what's
And
actual and what's running. So
is there a possibility this is a 3.5 etcd bug? Do you think, Tim?
No, we're not on 3.5, I think.
yeah, nobody
Okay.
is on 3.5. So yeah, but I have seen that because of etcd restore and that, like, the state is being reused.
It could be. It's also not clear whether this was like this happened one time or it keeps happening.
Let's ask. We'll see.
Yeah.
They claim they can reproduce it with the steps they gave. So maybe that's a step.
Yeah,
see
those
if we could
steps
do
don't
that.
seem. Oh, those steps don't seem like a reproducer.
Mhm.
Could create a pod that runs out of memory, and then other pods will have the same IP address. That can't possibly be the like.
Yeah.
I think another thing I've seen in this area is that jobs will hold on to their status field a lot longer when a job completes.
But I went through and checked today. We do filter out endpoints that aren't running. So once it's reached one of these completed terminal states, it shouldn't show up as an endpoint anymore. Not saying that's guaranteed to work, but it's at least designed to work that way.
They clearly have like a broken cluster in some way, right? Like I bet you a lot of things are broken here.
We'll get some more information. We'll find out. But this was the most alarming bug that I ran into today. Next up is the issue of kubeproxy being a very large container. And apparently, since it downloads on every node in the world, it's a significant fraction of our total download bandwidth from GCR. And we're trying to cost optimize a little bit there. So there's some discussion about, can we make a much smaller base image for kubeproxy? Oh yeah, Ben's just providing some more details. So they've done something interesting with their HA proxy image, which stages an image, then pulls out the binaries and all the libraries that the binary depends on and tries to build a super min image. It seems like an interesting test or trial for somebody who wants to see how clever they can get. If anybody wants to take this and take a look at it, it would be appreciated. We don't need to, we can confirm the triage. It is in fact an issue. But the question then is anybody here want to jump on this one?
Jim's pinged me on Slack. You can assign that down to me. I can take a look. I did that before with kubeproxy container. I can take a look into this release now.
Okay. I looked at like Ben's HA proxy script. It actually looks pretty straightforward if you follow the script. So it might not be that difficult to just reproduce what he's done with HA proxy.
Sounds good. My
But
concern
we'll
is
need to figure
about
out all the tools.
Yeah, my concern was about IP tables, IPVS, and all of the things that kubeproxy container needs, right? I remember that Dan was taking a look into that as well when we decided to slim a bit more the old kubeproxy container, and I missed some things that time, so I need to take care of this as well, and the libraries.
Yeah, we know it's IP tables, IPVS, IP set, IP contract.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
I can break some things. Yeah.
All right,
We
cool.
do the same sort of thing in Calico, so it's maybe not the exact same set of dependencies, but similar.
Okay, so. and we need a shell because of the wonderful NFT versus IP tables classic.
Yeah.
All right. So that's assigned Ricardo. Great. This one, Jay, you filed it. Do you want me to assign it to you? Do you want me to assign it to somebody else? What do you want with this?
You can assign that to me if you want. Sorry, I should have done triage. Yeah.
I would strongly recommend talking to the guy called James Travant. He works for Microsoft and he's elbow deep into these things.
He's on PTO this week.
Yeah, I think he is. So just talk with him because he knows.
I'm trying to get Shrevant to like. I think Shrevant said y'all are going to take over the entire rewrite of the Windows kernel space kubeproxy, but he's out this week. But yeah, definitely. I'll talk to James about it next week at SIG Windows.
Yeah.
I think this is a good getting started issue if anybody wants to. I don't think it's hard. I think it's like we can just remove those deprecated calls. So I'll flag it as a good first issue.
Okay. next, AGN host something headers. It's assigned to SIGNet. Well, now somebody copied SIG testing, good. But I don't think we actually, I don't think I've ever done anything in AGN host. Does anybody here feel ownership over it? Okay.
I've looked at it before, but I don't know what's the issue. AGN netexec HTTP resolves.
It sounds like they're taking the IP address and putting it in the host header instead of the host name.
Oh, okay.
It looks like Dim's answered you and it said Claudio.
Yeah, Claudio
that's it.
seems to be, so I propose we let this sit and revisit in 2 weeks if there's no responses.
You could ping Antonio on that as well. I know he is done.
Yeah.
I think there's an argument to be made that we kind of own it, or at least have some stake in it, because we use it in a ton of our end-to-end tests.
That's fair.
I mean, we don't own the whole image, but
No.
you know.
But at least we own the utility and the Go code that implements it.
I bet this is a really easy fix, right?
It sounds like it should be.
You
But
just
somebody's
someone
gotta
needs
go.
to know that. Yeah.
They'll spend more time finding where to put the line of code than to write the line of code. Okay. This is an older one that we haven't really gotten responses to about module checks. I guess we have some logic that checks for whether modules are installed or not. And we could be smarter about it. Should we accept it? Like, it seems like a real bug. Anybody?
Yeah, we should probably accept it.
But the problem isn't limited to this particular case. It's all over the place. When I began with Kubernetes, I had a static linked kernel, and I had to abandon that because it checks for modules in very many places.
Really? Well, see, Lars, this was your chance to fix everything all at once.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I give it a shot.
All right, so this is a real issue. We don't need to assign it to anybody since we know it's for reals, unless somebody wants to take it, in which case you are free to jump on it. Hint, hint. And the last one is another old one, bringing back the SCTP contract discussion. It's still unresolved, so I brought it back. I don't know if we want to spend the entire meeting today talking about this again. But at some point, we do need to figure out what the right answer is. My read, Lars, you tell me if you get a different read, but my read from the thread is we should probably end up treating it like UDP because that's the best that we can guarantee.
Yeah, I believe so. And this guy, Tay Clapp, he's an Ericsson guy. And we are using user space SCTP. And he's arguing from that point of view. Different SCTP users have using the Linux kernel SCTP, and it's kind of a conflict. But I agree, and I believe everybody's agree that it should be treated as UDP.
Okay, so then what are we doing today?
I believe you treat it as UDP already today.
Okay.
But
then I'll follow up.
This issue is about like having the opportunity to terminate in the same way as TCP for SCTP, and then we shouldn't clean up the contractor. But I believe the debate ended up with that's the best way. It's not a good way, it's the best way.
Yeah. Anecdotally, all the people I've talked to with SCTP are in user space too, which means the kernel's not going to send that final cleanup anyway. Okay, I'll follow up with this and see if that summary is sufficient. Okay, that's the end of triage.
Thanks, Tim. Next was someone from Kaping, maybe Mr. 777.
There's a missing 7. It's 5-7.
I did. Yeah, I just
Abbreviated.
thanks Dan for mentioning the meeting has been off for a while. I guess the calendar's off, the doc was off, the whole thing was messed up. So it's all fixed. If folks want to come, we'll be there tomorrow. It's at 7:30 a.m. now in California because the only people that come are in Europe or East Coast. So, we really wanted the India folks to come because Vivek and Hanumant have been really helping a lot. And so we're early in the morning again, but if California friends want to come again, we can do a different thing. That's it. I also had a question about, but I didn't have time to dig up the code, but like we have a weird thing where in the endpoints, in KPNG, we have in kubeproxy kernel space, we have a thing where we have we plumb an interface like that you can pass through so you can have extra information for like endpoints and stuff. And like we do that in the kernel space kubeproxy, and I'm replumbing that logic right now for the kernel space Windows proxy because you need that for an HNS endpoint. You need to plumb the HNS ID all the way down. And, KPNG has an abstract endpoints data model too, the same that you would normally use on the Linux side. And then, I don't know, has anybody thought of a better solution than that weird downcasting, upcasting thing that we do?
You mean for like endpoints info and those things?
Yeah, there's we allow people to just put an interface in there, and then the back end proxy will cast it into the thing that it wants.
Yeah, I mean, that was only so we could share some code that happened to be
yeah.
identical between IPVS and IP tables. It's kind of hacktastic, but that's kind of what the interface is for, right? The implementation says, I know this is a foobar, and the other one says, I know this is a barbat, and
so the problem is that like in KPNG, since it's not guaranteed to all be in shared memory, you're sending an endpoint structure down from one place, and then you have a back end that's like going to store some stuff in there, and it seems like treating that as a first class problem is more important. And I don't know how. The only way I can think of to do it is the dumbest thing possible, which is to do something dumb like make a map and cache your own mapping of this is the generic network endpoint info, and here's my little secret thing that I also wanted to store along with it, and have a lookup table.
I don't really understand the problem you're describing. I think to somebody who doesn't know how you've changed things in Kaping, it's not obvious what you're describing. Maybe if you opened up a bug and pointed to bits of code, it would be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to take a look. Like Dan, I'm happy to take a look, but I'm not quite grasping what you're describing.
Yeah, I could very easily just spend some time to write something up
So, I mean, Jay, you remind me of something I wanted to ask, so maybe I'll hijack your topic. Dan and I, Dan more than me, have almost totally rewritten the IP tables path over the last month and a half. Are you guys keeping in sync with that? Like, can we start taking steps to not have to resync every time we do this? Is it time? They're really good changes. Dan's changes, like the whole thing reads so much more easily now, and it's so much more obvious. And I just don't want to lose them.
So what have you gotten rid of? You've gotten rid of the caches, or?
No, it's reorganizing all the logic initially to fix some problems with internal versus external traffic policy handling, but just in the process of fixing it, we drastically simplified a bunch of things.
Oh, great.
And actually changed some of the way the rules jump to the chains jump to other chains, so that it, in my opinion, humbly, it reads much better now. It's much easier to follow both the code and the IP tables output.
Oh, cool.
But it would be a
You can
shame if you have
copy
to go
and
through and
paste
reinvent
whatever
it.
you did. Like the IP tables implementation was literally like, let's not break this because it's the most important thing. And it's literally like porting it all over. So if you've redone stuff, I'm sure that if we spend some time on it, we can figure out how to put it in.
And also the test cases are like way better now.
Okay. Yeah.
Or what they will be once that PR merges. We missed the boat on that one. But I guess the bigger question is like, when do we start sharing code? Is it time?
I mean, I'm already stealing code from you. So
Stealing
I
code
guess
and
I would
sharing
redirect
code
the
are
question.
different.
I'm already sharing your code with myself. So I think we're all, yeah, like I'm doing the same thing for the Windows kernel proxy, right? I'm just cutting it up and transmogrifying it. So whenever, I mean, how should we do it? How do we do this? I don't know how to do this organizationally, right? We're kind of in two different worlds. And
well, I mean, we tell people not to vendor KK, right? So it would be bad for us to say we made a library, you should go take it. We could either extract it into a separate repo and then vendor it back into KK and into Kaping, or we could extract it into Kaping, make that the true home of it, and then vendor that back into KK. Like that feels like a commitment. Like, are we ready to take this relationship to the next level?
my goal was to get all of the tests passing. And then I figured once it's all passing, y'all will tell me whether you want to do that or not. So I feel like we're close. IP tables 100% passing. It works for IPv4. It works for IPv6. IPVS, basically the same thing, with the exception of a couple of contract tests. Windows user space works, and Windows kernel space is the last one. And I was thinking once Windows kernel space is working, and I think I'm pretty close if I can just get a couple of days to finish it, we could have that conversation. But we could have that conversation earlier, and then let's let, you know what I mean? Like the sooner everybody starts helping with this, the less work for the Kaping group. So I'm totally wherever. What works for you guys.
Like it has been like that for years now. I think a couple more months or so shouldn't hurt.
Sure. But I guess, are we all on the same page with respect to the eventual destination here, which is kube proxy logic gets moved out of KK and into Kaping, or Kaping gets moved into KK, one or the other?
I think I agree on the first half. I have no statement on like no opinion on the second half. I agree that we need to move the logic out. Where should it be is something I have no opinion really on.
Okay.
Well, and I also agree on the part of the statement you made where we need to have one statement of truth to both KPNG and the Kubernetes, like the KK stuff. So that way, at least people know that it's only one logic implemented by both.
So we don't need to do it now, but there is the KEP for revamp the kube proxy architecture, which we sort of haven't really been treating like a project KEP. It's been more of an academic KEP. We should probably make that serious and start talking about like what is the plan in terms of moving code, which direction, how are we going to retain the EDE coverage or expand the EDE coverage, and what are the criteria for graduation. So Jay, do you want to bring that back to the Kaping group and say, hey, maybe it's time to get serious?
I'm happy to. It's just that we're completely flat out just getting it to work, getting it to work, which is why we haven't even looked at the KEP
so
the only reason to do that would be is if y'all are like, we really want to do this, let's finish the KEP. And
I'm not in a rush.
Yeah,
we're not in a rush, but like 24 is coming to a conclusion. 25 will open soon. If we're going to do something like this, we better do it at the beginning of a cycle, not at the end. So
yeah,
it's either in the next month and a half, or it'll be 6 months from now.
I got you. Okay, so everybody here is kind of on board with the spirit of doing that, so that, you know, because keps are a lot of work, so I want to make sure, like, should we do the kep now and sort of assume that like things are where they at, or should I maybe do another demo or something at the next SIG network and show everybody the code and
That's
everything,
fine.
and then say like,
Yeah.
then we'll start, or decide, oh my God, this is just a crazy mad science project. We don't want to do it.
Let's do that. Why don't you plan like either next 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, something like that. 4 weeks from now, many of us will be in Spain, so not that week.
Okay.
But either 2 weeks or 6 weeks, come back with a demo. We can actually like trawl through the code as a group and decide like, hey, are we ready to start moving this? And what do we think the criteria are? Honestly, there's discussion with SIGArch folks, like kubectl wants to move out of KK, right? Or has moved. One, I don't even know what the state of it is, but they had reasons for that. I don't know what all their reasons were. I have in the back of my mind this little voice that says, if kube proxy, the binary now, not just the library of Kaping, but the final binary that we produce, was out of KK, we could maybe do a better job of integration testing it against different Kubernetes versions, like skew testing it. Because right now we don't really have the ability to build a head kube proxy, test it against a 23, a 22, a 21 Kubernetes.
Are we moving things?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, just a question. When we move things out, we're keeping the same release cadence, right?
Yes, I think they're still phase locked. They're just in a separate repo, and we can set up separate EDE tests. It sounds kind of interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Lars.
Yeah, could we not forget that one, for me at least, important property of Kaping is that it should be available as a library for anybody to implement the proxy.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then we could bring in Cilium and Calico, which are CNI plugins that already has this problem.
Yep.
And I happen to know that Calico is actually importing large portions of the current kube proxy. They are vendoring it, basically.
They're not the only ones.
Yeah. But
yeah,
so that aspect is not forgotten.
Yes, for sure. I'm pretty sure at the end of this we have a library repo and a final binary repo or something like that, for sure, because we don't want to leave those folks out. But I do think for the foreseeable future, we are going to continue to build kube proxy, which has a few built-in binary modes.
Yeah. So, for what it's worth, as of now, we did actually. Lars was the person that asked for this, so we did that. Like we actually now are, everything in KPGA it's all you can import it. You can import the thing that does the server as a standalone thing, and the way it works now is that each one of the backends has its own Go modules, and the Go modules just import the server as like an external dependency.
Okay.
So I think we've done a really good job with that, and then in terms of making it, and the reason is because Lars needed that for his thing.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, put yourself on the agenda for an upcoming meeting. I didn't mean to hijack this discussion and turn it into something else.
Yeah,
I did
that's
anyway.
cool. So yeah. So at a high level,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was thinking actually this is good because at some point of time you want to see your effort somewhere, right? You want to see the things that you've been meeting and talking and building and testing somewhere. So it's good.
Yeah.
I like
yeah,
it.
we'll definitely do it. We had a demo a while back, but I don't think it was recorded because I was gonna like show it to someone if they wanted to learn, and then I think it was during that blip when SIG videos were not being recorded for like a month and a half or something. But it's time for another one, so yeah, definitely.
I threw you on the list for next time, but you can move that around as you'd like.
Sure, yeah. And then after that, if y'all want, we'll shift focus 100% over to doing the paperwork to get it integrated if folks want us to, for sure.
So I was
I like
next
the
on the
idea of an
list.
external repository a lot, by the way.
I was next up, but this is pretty quick. I sent an email just shortly before this. We are once again a bit late on our annual report. The second ever annual report for SIG Network. So I've started a draft doc in Google Docs that I'm going to be trying to fill out. I would like some help on that just to make sure that we're thorough. So it's on the mailing list. It's also in the minutes document.
Did you want us just to go and add as much as we can of the things we've done and make us look all good? That's
yeah, I think looking good is a good outcome from this. So, I mean, yeah, primarily, I mean, there's a lot of like kind of tedious stuff that I can do that I wouldn't worry about, but mostly things like the sub-project section where we need to talk about like what sub-projects are active and which have become inactive and work in groups, plus talking about all the stuff we've accomplished over the last year in the initiatives and KEP sections. So yeah, if especially if you've been involved in one of those and can just to quickly throw something in, that would help a lot. And then I'll put up a PR with the contents of this next week and then invite everybody to review it, make sure we didn't miss anything and squeeze that in.
To be honest, like the last 2-3 years have been a flat line since the pandemic, and I have no idea like when did that thing happen. Like I don't even remember. It's gonna require some thinking and going back to emails and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll try to do as much as I can over tomorrow. All right.
Cool. Yeah, a good milestone might also be to look at the 2020 report and see if that helps subdivide that period a little bit. Because yeah, I totally agree. It's been one big blur.
Okay. I'm happy that it's not only me. Like I was thought that it's just me, and then I discovered that everybody has the same law syndrome.
What day in March 2020 is it? We've all seen the websites.
Yeah. All right, my turn.
Indeed, yep.
So today I was spending some time looking at issues, and then I looked at PRs and I found this massive cluster, multi-cluster CIDR thing. To be honest, I had a mix of feeling of, and then it's like, oh my God, this is gonna be scary. So please spend some time looking at it. There's a massive change. It's super massive and it needs some organization, but I think it's in a state where not everything's done. So it's a good state to go and jump and say, okay, this looks okay, this looks bad, this looks need change. There's some comments here, some comment there. And it's big and it's impactful as well. Like if this thing goes the wrong way, it's impactful because it has a reliability issue and it will impact our ability to build on top of it, like stuff around changing CIDR later on, if we ever decide to do that. Right? That's really what I wanted to say.
Adding on to that, it came in very late in the last cycle, and Antonio sort of found a lot of things that he was really not super happy with, so it missed the boat. We tried to just get the API part in, but we didn't cross the T's and dot the I's properly. That's totally my fault. I forgot to milestone it before the deadline and milestoned it afterwards, and because I was able to do that, it went in, so the API is going to get kicked back out. And it's unfortunate that we missed the boat, but it is a huge change.
So that's a question for you, Tim. Do you want this next release?
I wanted it alpha in this release. I mean, I don't care, right? Like if it takes forever, it takes forever. But we do have kind of a reputation of taking forever. And I'd like to not live up to that if we can avoid it.
All right. Because there are some really unopened questions, unanswered questions on the KEP and on the code. I think the code made, like usual, the code made it clear that the KEP had gaps because that's what always happens when you write the code. So yeah. Here's the thing. I'll go through it tomorrow and today, and I'll send send an email out after I'm done, like with key points I found, and I invite everybody to look at it. Really, it's like it needs help. It's gonna need a lot of eyes and a lot of pushing and like pushing it forward to get there if we want alpha next release.
Great.
And since before I yield the floor, I am away 3 months starting mid-June on a sabbatical. So yes, I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you. All right.
Bridget, you were the next and
yes.
final item.
Absolutely. So I was looking, unless I missed it, which is absolutely possible. I don't think we actually have a SIG network in-person session at KubeCon EU. But that's fine because we do have some SIG network members, including Mr. still has his hands up right there. And probably Lockie and myself and some other folks are going to be on the IPv6 panel, which should be lively. So there will be at least some SIG network representation. And if we have anything else we want to produce before KubeCon, I am not doing what Cal is doing and taking an excellent amount of time off, but I am going to be out of pocket the week before KubeCon. So I will not be at the SIG network meeting the week before KubeCon. So if anyone is looking for any last minute anything, find me on all of the other places, but not this meeting in the week before KubeCon.
I just added item to the agenda. I will also be out the meeting just before KubeCon, and so we should figure out if we're going to have the meeting or not. If we just want to focus on Spain, we should coordinate a get together or something while we're there for anybody who's going to be there. While Cal brought up the topic of large reviews that need to get done, it wasn't locked to the release, so it got the back burner treatment, but the admin network policy, Andrew and crew have some PRs that they are asking for review on. So anybody who's got review bandwidth and is interested in that, please take a look. And let's not let it sit until the last month of the cycle again.
Yeah, we've actually been getting some really good reviews. So thanks to the folks who already have. In addition to that, something that has been helpful is I know Dan started coming to our Monday afternoon meetings, and it's basically just an hour of like, let's tackle some of the biggest issues we still have. So if folks have time, please come through to that meeting. And it's almost more efficient than dealing with a bunch of comments on the PR. So yeah, thanks for the reviews. Looking forward to get it moving forward.
I just posted a link. The next version of the Gateway API is up for review too.
The good news is the delta from the previous versions of Gateway are pretty small. There are a few things that I flagged as suspicious in there though, so.
We're still alpha, right? This is still alpha.
It is alpha. They want to move to beta with 050. Okay. So this review is the beta RC, I guess.
Anyone for any more?
No, it's good to see you all.
But you're not going to come back for 3 months, Cal?
No, I'm here next time. Next time I'm here, and KubeCon is probably gonna get cancelled, so I'm not in KubeCon, so I'll be here alone, and then probably one last time before I go. So yeah, been trying to put this together since August last year. So I'm looking for it.
Cool. All right, everybody. I'm hungry.
All right.
Dinner at Jay's house.
See you all in a couple weeks.
All right, see you all in a little bit.
See you.
See you guys. Bye. See you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.